Welcome, everybody. Claire Wasserman here, founder and author of Ladies Get Paid. We are an educational platform, global community, and a book all about helping women earn more and live better. If you've been following along, you know I love to interview other experts who also share our mission in supporting women, helping them earn more and live better. Today's guest is Andrea Yacub Macek. Probably F that up, but I
No,
tried.
you did not at all. That was perfect.
Oh, okay, great. Well, then this has already been a success. Thanks so much for being here. Bye. No. Today, we are going to be talking about how to effectively and authentically network. Okay, so Andrea is a career coach. She has lots of things that she can share. So we may get into more than just the networking piece, but she has a networking masterclass. And this is something that she is very good at. And I know that firsthand because we connected cold on LinkedIn,
We
just
did.
by her supporting my posts and reaching out, and so we can kind of be our own little micro experience here. You can very meta. You can talk people through how you networked with me,
Yes.
and so for Andrea, you're the expert of you, so maybe give us a little more info on your bio, what you like to do, who you work with, but also I find most interestingly how you got here.
Yes, love that. So thank you. And it's nice to connect. And yes, Claire and I met through the power of LinkedIn only, I think, 2 weeks ago. And now here we are chatting with all of you live to share the best tips on networking. So, fun fact about me, I'm a career changer and I'm a career change coach. So, I live and breathe my own experience in supporting women to change their career successfully. And Claire and I align our missions. I'm here to help women live their best lives and their best careers. We're fed a lot of BS and a lot of stereotypes as women about how we should live and what we should be doing. So Claire and I both agree that we don't need to live the shoulds and we need to undo all of those expectations. So my practice as a coach is really focused on helping women specifically undo those stereotypes and expectations and really find a career that's best for them. And that has been my journey. And I have secured every single one of my positions when I was working in the corporate world through the power of networking. I've only actually applied for jobs after I got the job as a formality. So, networking expertise and tips I'm going to share with you today are definitely tried and true. They've worked for me, they work for my clients. And as Claire shared, I have a networking masterclass that's on demand. And I'll share those resources once we're done.
Yes.
So,
And by the way, for
high level
anybody,
overview.
oh, sorry. Well, I was going to
Yeah.
say, just for everybody who's listening on other platforms, so not the Ladies Get Paid LinkedIn, come on over to our page because afterwards, Andrea is going to be posting a bunch of links for you all and you can connect with her directly. Yeah, talk to me also, knowing that a big part of what you do is helping women, find the right job path for them.
Mhm.
Why then focus on networking? And I'm imagining it was because you, well, A, saw how it worked in your own life, but B, that people maybe were doing it, quote, wrong, or there was a better way to approach it.
Yes, great question. So, a great clarification question as well. So, that's not the only thing that I coach on. That is the main job strategy or job search strategy that I coach on. That's my X factor tool, if you will, that I really support my clients with. My main focus for women is to really help them understand their career path. So three main phases of coaching is really clarifying your goal, then simplifying the goal, and then optimizing that goal, and then putting that together in a strategy. And that distinction is making sure you're using networking. So I focus on networking, again, as a strategy because most people are doing it wrong, not of their own fault. People are really socialized to view networking and experience networking in a really awkward, uncomfortable way, when really that is doesn't have to be that way. Networking really at the heart of it is a conversation, and we have conversations all day in so many different formats. So really the way that I coach networking is helping individuals leveling up their conversation skills, because your job search is a series of two main things: decisions and conversations. And when you know how to do both very strategically and optimized in a way that really supports you, your job search is just going to fly.
Talk to me. So you use the word demystifying on your website.
Yes.
What's the part. Yeah. And then you also kind of alluded to it when you said networking is approached sort of awkwardly.
Yes. So, all of those myths, right? People tend to think networking is only for certain personality types, that you can only network if you're an if you're an extrovert. It might feel more comfortable if you're an extrovert, but that's not doesn't mean you can't network successfully or effectively as an introvert. Another thing I hear people say all the time is, I networking isn't accessible. They think that they have to be a certain level of career or a certain position, when really that is the beauty of networking, is that's not true at all. You can really network where you are and what you have right now. Um, and also, people think it has to be with strangers. So many myths about networking is it has to be a cold networking contact like you and I. Doesn't
Mhm.
have to be people who are currently strangers. One of the most underutilized form of networking is people that you already know. So so you guys, it's holiday season. You're about to be in a room with family, extended family, friends. Um, so really, and I'll give you some tangible tips, but practice networking with people that you know. Go talk to that awkward family member. If you can talk to them and share something about your career, you can network with anybody. So great time of year to practice networking.
Okay, good. Because I think a lot of people feel like this is the time that they're quote off the hook, or especially
Yeah.
for those who are looking for jobs, it feels like, oh gosh, I can't do anything. And there's a bunch of weeks here now where I'm kind of like
Yeah.
paralyzed. So let's break down some of those myths, by the way. So feel
Yeah.
free to respond to what I just said, but like you mentioned a bunch of great things that we could begin with. So start wherever you want to start and tell people how to rethink, redo.
Yeah, so I really want people to understand that it doesn't have to be this awkward exchange between strangers. Typically, what comes to mind is kind of old school networking of being in a conference room or, carrying a beverage, trying to hold a plate and introduce yourself to somebody. Very uncomfortable, very awkward. I want to demystify that and say that's not the case. So networking can look like, again, going to a family member's house for a holiday dinner, going out with a friend for coffee, just connecting in general and connecting about things that you enjoy. And again, the heart of networking is a conversation. So first and foremost, I want people to practice having conversations and practice talking to people that you already know. Because when we talk about things that we know, or talk to people that we do know already, our comfort level and our confidence is already up here. We're not thinking about our mannerisms. We're not thinking about how we're sounding, our word choice. We're very just innately speaking.
Mhm,
So the
mhm,
more that you can practice talking about your career change, your goals, why you're looking for a job with people that you already know, you're going to exponentially increase your conversation ability for when you're translating that to a career conversation, meaning an interview or a networking conversation. So that would be tip number one, is just practice what you want to say
mhm,
in a job search context, to somebody that you already know. That would
mhm.
be tip number one.
Yeah, and I'll kind of add to that for a quick second. For those who are feeling frustrated with where they're at, they either don't like what they do, or they're maybe lost, or super junior, and they're just feeling like they don't have like a lot of like positive things to say. Well, A, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, but
Yeah,
B, I'll add my 2 cents before you add yours, which would be talk about, you could be transparent. I mean, you don't have to be like sob story about it. Like, let's keep this, have some like momentum here. But you could say, listen, I'm feeling a bit stuck these days. That humanizes you to the other person. It can be a point of
100%.
connection. And also then maybe say, but I'm reading this book, or I've been listening to this podcast, or following this person, or I think this is the direction I want to go in. Maybe then turn it around on them and say, how did you figure out your path? Like, you don't need to have this all packaged up and, ready to go in order to have a quote productive conversation.
I agree. So I want to touch on a few things that you talked about, Claire, and put a little bit, not a little bit, put some context for people and could create some action steps for them based on what you just shared. So number one, I always recommend, please start with clarity.
Mhm.
Right? Define your why. I know you hear this all the time when it comes to a job search or about your career, and you're like, oh, you're probably exhausted of hearing that. But it's so true, because the more they can really define and clarify for yourself why, again, to her point, why you're ready, why you're looking, what it is that you're doing, that's going to just help you drive the conversation that much easier. Again, it's going to give you that confidence. Clarity equals confidence. So always start with getting clear first. Then I want you to simplify. Okay.
Mm.
Typically, as women too, we tend to naturally overcomplicate things. It's not a judgment. It just is. It's not good or bad. It just is. Right. So I want you then, once you clarify what your why is and what your direction is, what your goal is, simplify it and break it down into one or two main things. Okay. That becomes your starting point or your talking points for when you're having that conversation with your friend, Claire, or when you're talking to a stranger. Really simplifying it is going to go a long way. Typically, when you're networking, you're going to be nervous. Okay. It just might be, you're going to practice, but you're going to be nervous. Okay. When we're nervous, we can tend to overshare. That can create confusion for the person on the receiving end. So simplifying it and having just one to two top talking points is going to help you gain control of that conversation and not go off on a tangent. Okay. So that's the second thing. Go ahead, Claire.
Well, I just want to, there's a person who asked a question. She said,
Yes, please.
or they said, why is it so hard to network with your friends and or people you know? It's awkward to ask for a job from them because they don't respond after you ask for a job, and then your friendship disappears. It doesn't become effective. What do you want to say? So this sounds like this is personal experience that this person
Yes.
had. And I'm not sure Andrea, you're saying to straight up ask people for jobs. I don't know. I mean,
No, I'm not saying that.
little.
So I'm not saying that at all. So great point. And this is what I go into in my on-demand networking masterclass and really breaking it down in the foundations. We're jumping around a little bit here because it's an active conversation. So I'm not really putting it into a step-by-step flow for you. But if you want that step-by-step of really, where do I start with networking? How do I create a strategy? Who do I reach out to? How do I identify them? Think about my masterclass. But in this instance, this is a great example. So there's two main types of people that you typically are connecting with. People that you know, so a warm contact, which is your friend in this case, and then a cold contact, people that you don't know. Okay. We're going to go into a little bit of a nuance here. Okay. And this is why networking is very, very strategic, and there's so many lanes we can talk about. But depending on the friend, yes, you can make a direct ask. Okay. If you know that person well and there's a job open somewhere that you know that they have a connection to, you can ask. In general, that is not the best way to open a conversation. Okay. No one wants to be pitched to. No one wants to feel like they're being used. Okay. So there's a way and there's a strategy to build up to that ask. I talk about that and coach on that and give you very clear step-by-step in my masterclass. But for the sake of this conversation, we're going to accelerate it. With your friend, something to keep in mind, people do want to help, but they're typically busy.
Yeah.
And their goal is not your goal. So if this is a good friend, you can nudge. Remind them that you're over here and you ask them about the job. Follow up with them. You don't want to badger them and ask too many times, but you can definitely follow up. Also, there's a strategy to that, but you can follow up. So and it depends on the context. There's so many variables right now that we really can't address because it's not a one-on-one conversation. But depending on the situation, the job, again, how you know this person, the context of the conversation you had before, there would be a very specific way you'd want to follow up. So feel free to message me, whomever this is. I'd love to hear more about your situation and see if I can help you.
And to piggyback off of that in terms of...
And I'm sorry, I'm saying whoever. I can't see the comments. They're not coming through, so I apologize for being generic.
No, it's great. I mean, there's also not like one size fits all kind of advice here. So everybody, listening, filter it through your, what you're going through. I would also add that to help others help you, go back to what Andrea mentioned in terms of like, they just don't have time. So to make it as easy as possible for them to, let's say, refer you, you could just write up a couple of sentences, right? Like, here's a little blurb about me. And then say, if you're open to making the connection, I'd be grateful, but no pressure, right? So it's not that you're giving them the opportunity to connect you and you're making it as easy as possible, but you're not putting all the work on them / like forcing them to do it. So
exactly. And Claire, what you're talking about is one of my pillars of networking, which is help them help you. It's about them. it's not about you, and to balance asking and offering.
Ah,
Meaning, one of the biggest mistakes people accidentally make when they're networking is focusing so much on themselves, which puts
okay.
pressure on you. You get scared. You're in your head about, will they respond? Will they not? Do they like me? Do they not? Like, they don't want to help me. They do want to help me, right? We create this dialogue in our head. So it's really important. What Claire is saying is to create a message that is them centric,
Mhm.
that creates a very simple message, tells them the background of why you're reaching out and what your ask is. There is a strategic formula to do that that increases your rate of reply and the chance the person will respond. I go over that in my networking masterclass because, again, you don't want to over ask the
Okay.
person. And what she also is touching on is giving them an out.
Yeah.
People don't want to feel pressure. They're more likely to help if you say, hey, you might be busy right now. Is now's not the right time, not a problem. So I break this down step by step for you in the masterclass, again, of from A to B, or A to Z, if you will, how you're going to, again, identify your goal, simplify your goal, optimize your goal, and then create messages and networking. I have templates that I give you that are plug and play. You can use them, swap out your content, swap in, and use them. So very distinct formula that you're going to want to use. And again, we're just touching on pieces ad hocly as we go through this, but hopefully that answers that person's question a little bit and gives them some tips on that.
Speaking of tips, I'm loving in the comments on LinkedIn. We've got Debbie gave some suggestions as well. Let them know a few role titles that would be a good fit for you, and consider sending them a note after you chat with bullet points, a few specific skills you bring to the table. And then somebody said, "This conversation is spot on. Learning tips already. Awesome."
Love it. Love it.
Great. I know we were going kind of down the line of like various other myths of negotiation. I don't know if you want to keep going in that direction or talk more about, just the effective slash authentic part. Because I know all this
Yes.
people listening, they might be thinking, oh God, this all sounds so time consuming too.
Yes. And I love Claire's brain is on brand for her. She said negotiation. She meant networking since we're talking about networking today. But all the skills apply there as well. So
Did I say
also
negotiation?
you did, which is completely fine. They know
Wow.
your brain.
That's hilarious. That's, you know what?
Which highly recommend Claire's negotiation course too. So if you guys are looking for negotiation, definitely consider her course.
I'm blaming
But
my twins that are in my belly right now,
yes,
causing a
yes,
ruckus. So
I
we're just
love it.
I'm gonna say pregnancy brain for as long
Hey,
as I feel like I'm
I
gonna say it.
can't validate that experience
Uh,
for myself, but I know my friends say that's true. So
yeah.
congrats again, Claire. I know you're welcoming two new members to your family very soon. So congrats on that. Yes, we can go back to the myths. I do want to, excuse me. I wanted to make sure I just kind of close the loop on what I was talking about and recap, because I know I'm a fast talker, you're a fast talker. We're talking about a lot of different tips and tricks when it comes to networking. So again, in terms of a strategy, make sure you clarify your goal, simplify it, get 1 to 2 talking points or anchors, if you will, to what your goal is, and then optimize it. Optimizing meaning I want you to start with people that you know. So pro tip right now, take 15 minutes after we're done with this conversation, set a timer, write down a list of everyone you can think of, trusted colleagues, friends, family members, people that if you took a certification course, if you have a degree, if you go to the gym, if you have any sort of hobbies, write down people right now that you know you could text, call, email, and they would answer you. Okay, those are the people I want you to really think about practicing these tips with and having conversations with, to get to get some practice under your belt about, again, clarifying, simplifying, optimizing your networking strategy. So that's a great pro tip to do that. Quick example, my husband is the complete opposite of me. He is an extreme introvert. He has successfully networked to grow his career. One of the ways I helped him do that and coached him through that experience was connecting through a craft beer event. He's really into craft beer. He's a beer head. He likes to go to different events. So when we were living in a bigger city, I gave him the goal to go to one event and connect with one person. That was his goal. Okay, so built in comfort there that it was a hobby that he knows a lot about, could talk easily about, wasn't going to be a strain on him to start a conversation. Built in connection. Okay. So that's a great way for you guys. That's why I'm saying make a list of people that you know and already have something in common with. Great way to start a conversation. And then his goal was to meet one person. So I also want you guys to not overexert yourself. As Claire said, this can be a lot of work. Networking is a long game, but it's going to support you in a lot of ways. So if you make it a goal to meet one person or have one conversation, you're going to practice those talking points, practice asking what you need, practice asking for a job without asking for a job. Right? There's a right time to do that. So that's a really tangible way to do this. This also applies to online networking. I'm talking about in person, but this also applies to online events as well, and having conversations with people. And that networking connection did get him an interview, by the way. So, yeah. So went to a beer event, got a job interview. So, obviously more nuanced in strategy to the conversation, but again, I have a lot of resources to help you with that. But again, connection where you already feel excited, where you're already interested is going to be one of the best ways for you to grow your network.
A lot of people then say to me when they hear, reach out to people you feel connected with, they go, oh, but I haven't been in touch with them for a while. So does that mean I shouldn't reach out? What do you think?
Great question. One, this time of year is a great reason to reconnect and reach out to people. Right? Can just say, hey, thinking of you with the change of year, the new year coming, just wanted to say hi. Great way to reconnect and reestablish that relationship. Also, the change of season, just once a quarter is a great way to do that. People love to be thought of. There's nothing better than getting a text message or message in your inbox. It's like, hey, Claire, you came across my mind today. Just wanted to say hi. I'm thinking of you. Right? Yeah. Very simple, but you're reconnecting that relationship before you even ask for something. So again, it's going to take a little bit of effort on your side to reestablish that connection. But once you do that, you're kind of knocking on the door again of like, hey, I'm here. I would love to reconnect with you. So that's a really simple way to do that. And this time of year is a fantastic way to do that as well.
Piggybacking off of that, because Erica has a good question, and then I'm going to get to Amber's question. Erica says, do you have any suggestions or recommendations for how often to reach out to those individuals in your network? Is there a general guideline, like reaching out every quarter or biannually?
Yes. And hi, Erica. I think it's Erica Wiseman. You're in Chicago. I moved to Salt Lake from Chicago about a year ago. I was in Chicago for 15 years. So love that you're in my former hometown. Yes. So as I just mentioned, if your goal is to maintain your network and to just keep those relationships warm and ready for when you do want to reach out, once a quarter, like I mentioned, the change of season is always a great way to pop in someone's inbox or their DMs or their text messages and say, hey, thinking of you. Also, do your research, meaning if someone has an active profile on LinkedIn, chances are they might be updating it. There's more information. Make it personal. This is one of the things I'm a stickler for and I coach on is making your messages personal and not generic. That's how you can keep it authentic. Yeah. Because people get so many generic messages in their inbox. If you just take the time to look, for example, on Claire's profile, you're going to see unlimited amount of information. She shares about her partner, her twins are coming, about her course launch, about what she's doing, about her struggles in her career before she switched over to her business. So pay attention to who people are and what they're doing and incorporate that into your message. So minimum once every quarter, reach out and say hi, and then make it personal and authentic, and look at what they're doing and incorporate that back into your message. Again, you're going to stand out. People are so excited to see a genuine connected message come across their inbox that you're going to stand out above everybody else if you're just really personal. And personal doesn't mean oversharing. You don't have to be the overshare to be personal.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. And for the effective part, because our title today is how to network effectively and authentically, put a calendar reminder for yourself.
Yes. Help yourself do it.
Yeah. Because to me, if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening.
I agree. It doesn't exist.
Let me get to Amber's question real quick. This is more specific to networking for a job, or I guess around a certain job. So Amber says, I've seen many job posts stop accepting applications after only a few days. how do we balance the time it takes to network with someone at the company and not lose the opportunity to get an application in? So I know that she's sort of asking about timing, but I think that might be a kind of larger conversation you could go into about networking when you see a specific job opening and you maybe don't know anybody at the company.
Yeah, this is such a great question. And this is a strategy that I work on specifically with my clients in terms of one, understanding your priorities, right? So you want to get the application in, but you also want to make the connection, which is why you want to use both strategies. So networking is a job search strategy and job boards are a job search strategy. You want to be using both simultaneously if you can. So in this case, you need to understand your level of priority. So getting a job application in and there's a deadline, you want to do that. You can still network even after you submit your application. So that is where you want to see people that are in the same job title that you're applying for. You'd want to reach out to them. Great way to say, introduce yourself and let them know that you're interested in the company, specifically joining their team. Would they be willing to connect with you for 15 minutes to talk about their job? Right? You're not asking for them to refer you. You don't want to do that yet. You need to build the relationship first, but you could ask for a conversation. Again, I go into the deep strategy of this in my masterclass, but that's a great kind of high level tip that you can use. I do not recommend going to recruiters all the time for that type of networking. One, recruiters are highly inundated with messages. They have a lot of volume in their inbox and they're not the gatekeepers. The hiring manager is the one making the decision. And typically a team member is also on the hiring team with the hiring manager. So the colleague that you might be reaching out to on LinkedIn, they might be the one also making that decision. So your best bang for your buck or your ROI on networking is going to be trying to find the hiring manager or finding people in that similar title or role within the company. So you can reach out and build those relationships. I also want to touch on a question that somebody brought up, which is one of the biggest points of fear when you're networking is adding value.
Yes.
So I believe this was Julie, you said you want to give to somebody, but they're often on a different level than you, and you don't want to come across as you're using them. So I also touch on this in the masterclass that I offer, but really what you want to do is add value, meaning you don't have to be at a higher level to add value. Adding value also means, like Claire was saying earlier, if you're reading a great book, if you listen to an industry podcast, if you have another person in your network that you could potentially connect them to. The biggest thing is reciprocation or reciprocity, is offering to support them or give a resource when they're ready. People aren't going to always take you up on the offer or the favor or the reciprocation of value right away. But the fact that you even offer, hey, Claire, thanks for having me on your live today. If I can support you, let me know. Right? So she's going to take me up on that. Might not be today. It might be in a couple of weeks, could be in a couple of months. Okay. But the fact that you have an offer, again, you're going to stand out by being authentic and being sincere. And I also talk about the concept in my class about a value bank. So taking the time I listen to 3 to 5 podcasts I rotate through. I make a note. If something stands out to me, I make a note about it and I kind of put it in my value bank. I have a spreadsheet. So then as I network, I can go to that and pull information and send it to people.
Oh, wait. Now you have to tell us what these podcasts are.
Mostly career podcasts because I am a career coach. But big shout out to Lauren McGoodwin at Career Contessa. Love her podcast. She does a great job of well-rounded career information, not just hard-hitting kind of strategy. Also looks at holistic perspectives. That'd be one of the top ones that I would recommend is Career Contessa. So I'm blabbing a mile a minute, Claire. I know we're getting close to time. I have so many more tips and resources, and I will, like Claire said, I'm going to make a comment when we wrap up on the event page, so you guys can grab all the resources that I'm talking about. And please practice. I'm here. DM me. Don't be shy. DM me. Send me a message. Ask me your networking questions. Connect with me. I'm happy to stay connected to all of you that are here or rewatching the replay.
And a great way to proactively provide value is if the person on LinkedIn is posting, share their post.
Yes.
Share their posts. Trust me, it gets you noticed. There are people in the Ladies Get Paid community who I've become very, very close with and have offered recommendations for them. And the way that our relationship started was they simply shared on LinkedIn, hey, Claire Wasserman's doing great work over here, especially if they noticed that I was, promoting a certain paid product, right? Like, you should sign up for her salary negotiation video course, right? I mean, that goes a long way. And so the person who asked, if I feel like I'm more junior, what do I have to offer? My God, you even just sharing to your network of, it could be 100 people, one sale, that's money in my pocket. You know what I mean? So it's like, you really, you can do so much without spending a lot of time or effort. I also want to just quickly acknowledge, when somebody asked, Debbie asked, how do we deal with how long networking takes? Relationships take time, but it's hard to be patient. Just this is a lifelong thing. You never know where somebody's going to go. I once interviewed for a job that I didn't get, but the person interviewing me followed up with me and said, hey, would you like to have a coffee? I really believe in you. Okay. So you making connections with people today, though it may be for a specific purpose, with a specific outcome that you want and you're impatient for it, use what Andrea said earlier, the long game lens. Okay. Or I added the lens part because I like an alliteration. You're just investing in connection. And so as long as you have done this in a way that is reasonable with your bandwidth, so like I said, putting things on the calendar, maybe making a goal of X number of outreaches in a certain amount of time per week, and that's it, rest assured you're filling that bucket. But look at it, I would say, as long game connection rather than sort of like, purpose-oriented networking.
And I can't stress that enough, Claire. It's what you said is so true. It's an investment.
Yeah.
Networking is an investment in your career today and long-term. One quick example as we wrap up. My client got laid off only 3 months ago, and she got hired within 2 months at a new job. So her job search was 60 days. The average job search right now is 6 months. Jeez. It was because of her network. And it wasn't in a traditional networking sense. It wasn't somebody referring her over. She had built her reputation in the industry. Her network, who she had known at past jobs, basically validated her credibility and her skill sets. And when she got to the interview, they basically had networked with her connections and said, hey, like, you checked out, your network could not have said better things about you. And it helped her get hired.
Right.
So her diligence in building her network throughout her career supported her in getting hired and cut her job search tremendously. In 60 days, she was hired. So
just like you don't want to, revamp your LinkedIn and learn how to negotiate when it's time to find a new job.
Exactly.
Better to just spend a little bit of time doing that. Maybe first just educating yourself, which y'all are doing because you're here. And
yes, you're here.
Yeah. And this is an amazing conversation, Claire and Andrew. Thank you for your support and recommendations. Clearly this should have been longer, but these are only 30 minutes because we have so much to say, which is why we teach longer courses and we have our LinkedIns and we continue to share content there. So Andrea, tell people where they can find you, follow you, and most importantly, pay you. And yes, everybody, Andrea will also be posting those links in the Ladies Get Paid LinkedIn, but I want her to say it now. And then I'll tell you y'all where to find me. And then we're going to go and have a good holiday.
Thank you, Claire. Yes, I am here on LinkedIn. I post content minimum 5 days a week. So follow me, connect with me here, send me messages. And yes, I'll be sharing information about my networking masterclass that you can invest in for yourself to teach you all the basics, goes in depth, walks you through step by step, everything we talked about today. And I have templates and other resources that you can look at as well.
Fabulous. ladiesgetpaid.com. You can check us out, all the things that we offer there. And of course, Claire Wasserman on LinkedIn and clairewasserman.com and Claire Gets Paid on Instagram. Thank you all so very much for being here. This is the last LinkedIn Live of 2023. I'm not sure. And I don't know if we're going to be doing them in 2024 because we're cooking up other stuff. But there's lots that you can rewatch. So if you're not already on the Ladies Get Paid LinkedIn page, come over and follow us. Lots of good content there. And let's go network with each other. So there you go. And so let's start with the folks who were posting on our Ladies Get Paid LinkedIn. Yes. Who had really great questions and supportive comments. They are clearly here because they are interested in this topic. So you already have something in common. Have a wonderful holidays. Now go get paid.
All right. Thanks, Claire. Thanks, everyone.